Good morning. I'm here with this. Hopefully, it's a short, short. I want to talk about myself, but especially what I want to talk about is mental health and illness, but specifically mental health. So, I have been diagnosed with bipolar type 2. I think there's quite a few bipolar types. Bipolar type 1 is the most common one that people would recognise, which is manic depression. Well, you got manic depression, you've got depression, mania, depression, mania, depression. And that could be a swing of those two poles, maybe during a week. So maybe the first 2 days you're depressed, and then last 3 days, or there may be a day just normal, and then the next 2 days, or whatever the count is, the next few days, manic. And they're both would be the extreme versions of depression, like clinically depressed, and the extreme version of mania, which is ripping your clothes off and running down the street naked, which is what a psychiatrist told me, because with my type 2, the only highest mania that I can get or have ever got is hypomania, which means low mania, like the lowest mania. And I asked my psychiatrist, well, what's the highest? What would you consider, or how would you describe someone in the highest mania? And he said, well, if you had hypermania, which is the highest mania, he said you'd probably rip off your clothes and be running down the street. I went, no, you wouldn't, never, no. So that's a quick version of manic depression or bipolar. The first thing I want to say is this. A lot of people who may be undiagnosed or don't have bipolar definitely people who feel that they're normal, which is, there's no such thing, by the way. There's no such thing as normal. I've noticed mental illness in a lot of people who think they're normal. Like there's narcissism, right? There's pathological liars. There's I've noticed people with mood changes, not necessarily bipolar, but definitely mood changes. So maybe pre-bipolar. I don't know if there's a pre-bipolar. There's a pre-diabetes. So maybe there's a pre-bipolar. And that's the problem. The problem is everything that psychiatrists, GPs, or the practitioners, the medical practitioners, base mental illness on their information is like from 100 years ago. They haven't become more modernised. They're starting to. I'm starting to see a little bit more of a progression in catching up and becoming more modern and more progressive with mental health. Now, wonderful thing is we have a mental health day once a year. there's a lot of people that might be listening to me right now who are perfectly fine, but they have or are carers of people suffering from mental health issues. There's a lot of people who are carers of people suffering from mental health issues. And to you people, I want to say you're amazing. You truly, truly are amazing, because it's a very, very difficult thing to care for someone with mental health issues. So keep going. If you need a rest, try and seek out respite facilities if there's anything available. I'm not sure if we have that at this point, but see if you can get someone that maybe in the family that can come in, a sibling or something, that could come in and give you a break, because you need a break. You need your own mental health break, right? Another thing I want to address is some words. Now, there is a feeling attached to certain words. Now, how do I explain this? So if I was to say a word, your instant reaction to that word will have either a negative or a positive reaction in you. It'll be, oh, or it'll be, based on words. Isn't that interesting? So it's kind of, what would we call it? A prejudice? No, maybe not. Let's do a test. I'm going to say some words, and I want you to really think about what's your instant go-to feeling about each of these words, and compare them. And then you don't have to tell me, and I don't need to know, none of my business, but just think about what your reaction is to certain words, and ask yourself why. Because I'll tell you my opinion. The reaction that we have to certain words has been programmed into us. It has been, in a way, programmed from being very young. That might be your parents, or it might be advertising, or it might be trying to fit in with your peers, so you will behave the way they behave, and they behave the way they're taught, or it just, it just... So here are the words. Are you ready? Okay, let's think. The first word is health. The second word is puppies. The third word is mental. The fourth word is corruption. The fifth word, we'll go six. The fifth word is, let me think. The fifth word is light. The sixth word, obviously, is going to be dark. Now, think about how you instantly felt when you heard each word. Did you have a positive reaction? Or did you have a negative reaction? Compare different words to one word to another word or whatever, and think about what and why you were having that reaction, and see if I'm right. see if I'm right. See if you have a good think about it, whether it's programming or a real true feeling of your own. So that's a little test we just did. What else are we going to talk about? So mental health is what we're going to talk about. Now, mental health is what I've been trying to say has a kind of negative positive. You join the words together, you've got mental, that kind of has a negative attachment to it, because there'll be words like, oh gosh, did you see what happened? He attacked her and he just went mental. I can't think of any sentence where the word mental is positive, but I could be wrong. And if you want comment on a positive sentence about the word mental. And then you've got health. Now, my reaction to health is a good reaction. I want to be healthy. I want to try and I'm in the midst of trying to get my health really back on track again, because it went way off, absolutely way off. And the reason why it went way off is because not only am I bipolar 2, which I'll explain in a minute, I'm also type 1 diabetic, which is insulin-dependent diabetic. So when my bipolar has a depression episode, and as I get older, they get long. If I'm not medicated, if I'm medicated, I can have triggers. Even though I'm really, really good, my medication is good, I can have triggers, which is life, you're living in a rental, the landlord said, oh, I've just sold your house or your flat, and you've got to move out. You've got 30 days. Well, that's stress. That can trigger off a manic depression or a bipolar episode, and your medication's perfect. The other thing that can trigger bipolar episode is, there's a word for this, proper scientific word that's just sitting there on the tip of my tongue, but it's resistance to the medication. So when you're on medication long term, because it's a chronic illness, it's never going to cure. Well, maybe it will be. You never say never. Your body builds up a resistance to medication. And this is all medication. If you're long-term medication, you have to elevate that medication, tincturate, or whatever word they use, and you need to up the ante, as they say, and increase your medication. Oops, my puppy just fell off the couch. Don't let him see him laughing. Now he's scratching his butt, pretending it didn't happen. Oh. Okay. See, now that's good mental health, having a puppy. And I just got this puppy about 4 or 5 days ago, so yeah, it's lots of fun. The other thing I want to discuss, I've basically discussed it all. I've got to go back into type 2 bipolar. So type 2 bipolar is more depression than mania. Like I said, as I got older, now I when I was diagnosed, I was 40 something. I was 40 something. No, I wasn't. I was probably late 30s. Yeah, I think it was late 30s. and I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2. But when I thought about it, because when I learnt about what the symptoms are, when I thought about it, I realised my first symptom was when I was 18. So my first symptom for bipolar was when I was 18, but it's like, because I was younger, so I was very much depressed for no particular reason. For probably about a month and a half. And then I was fine for, I think, the rest of the year, so 12 months. And so it went, of course, I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. Who would? People say you get the blues now and then, right? It happens. Shit happens, right? So, bipolar since 18, but not diagnosed. Here's another thing. Now, my daughter has been diagnosed with ADHD, and her son was diagnosed, her firstborn son was diagnosed with ADHD, and then she went and got a test, and she's got ADHD, and she said to me, Mum, I think maybe even you have ADHD. And I went, oh, yeah, right, I've got type 1 diabetes, I've got bipolar, F off with ADHD, I don't want anything, that's enough already. But I had to tell her that I think she may be right. So I looked it up because I've been watching, I don't know, Kobe. Does anyone, if you're familiar with Kobe, he's very funny, entertaining, very creative, wonderful person who I absolutely adore on Facebook. He possibly has a YouTube channel, I don't know. Cody, Cody, last name I forget. I was watching his funny music because it just entertained me. Using reels, and I do that too. I do that too. Isn't that weird? And the more it kept happening. And the clincher was this. He showed normal person, so the writing said normal person after a strong cup of coffee. And you'd see this person drinking coffee, like, and hyped up, and then person with ADHD after drinking a strong coffee. And here's Cody fast asleep in his bed. That's me. I have never had that hyped up reaction to coffee. I've always, I could have coffee, I get 3 cups of coffee before I go to bed, and I sleep. Someone would say to me, I don't have coffee after such and such a time because that'll mess with your sleep. Oh, no, I don't know. I have 2 cups of coffee before such and such time before I go to sleep. Oh, no, you'll be up all night. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. I just, why are people saying this to me? I'm going to be awake. I'm not awake. I'm music crashing. So I looked it up. I Googled it. I went straight to Auntie Google, and I Googled bipolar versus ADHD. and it said it's very similar to bipolar is very similar to ADHD, but different because they're different illnesses. And then scrolling further down, reading all the I got to the part that said it's not common and not rare, but I don't know the wording they used, but they said it's not common, but someone can have both ADHD and bipolar. And I think, oh no, I think that's me. So once I get organised with this doctor, I won't even go into that. I'm going to ask to be sent to a referral to get a test done, just to cover it, just to either say, well, I've got it and now I understand, or I haven't got it, so I don't have to worry about it, because that's probably the best way when you're treating your health, right? Cover all your bases. If you haven't got it all, you don't have to worry about it. Instead of thinking, my mum had heart problems and died of a heart attack. Her mum had heart problems and died of a heart attack. I don't want to get my heart checked. It's not good. I'll just get it checked, and then they could say, oh, well, no, must have jumped a generation, but your heart's fine. Or you just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't. Even if they say, well, it looks like that there's a little bit of an issue, so maybe, and that, oh, right, then you know that you've got to maybe change your diet a little bit, sort of look after your heart. I think that's it. And I don't think it was a short, but shit happens. Have a good one.